everybody, and welcome to the Wealth Guard Show. I'm your host, Tom White. It's good to be back. We took a couple weeks off, and market volatility has continued. We'll take a look at that here in our economic mechanics. And we begin with the U.S. dollar. And on a daily chart of the U.S. dollar, down below, point number one, the stochastics have reached into overbought territory, and we're getting a bearish signal here. Looks like we're giving this one a yellow mark. Above that, point number two, MACDs, they've been looking strong, but the histogram bars have just dropped a little. We gave this one a yellow mark. And up top, point number three, the relative strength index, been flatlining, and now looks like it's headed lower toward that 50 line. Gave this one a yellow mark too. And on the weekly chart, down below, point number one, the stochastics are giving us a bullish signal as the green line has crossed the red, and we've taken out the 50 line. We gave this one a green mark. Above that, point number two, the MACDs, they're looking higher, and the histogram bars are lifting up more too, so we gave this one a green mark. Up top, point number three, the relative strength index, it's crossed that 50 line. We've got a little uptrend moving here. Gave this one a green mark. And so, summing up the U.S. dollar, we analyzed the daily chart and the weekly chart. On the daily chart, found the stochastics, MACDs, and relative strength index were all neutral, and we gave them a yellow mark. Over on the weekly chart, things were still bullish. The stochastics, MACDs, and relative strength index all got green marks. For a total, we had 0 red marks, 3 yellow marks, and 3 green marks for the U.S. dollar. And we take a look now at the commodities represented by the CRB Index. And on a daily chart of the commodities, down below, point number one, got a bearish signal as the green line has crossed over the red on those stochastics, and we're falling below the 50 line. This is negative. We gave it a green mark, a red mark. Above that, point number two, got a confirmation of that move in the stochastics because we got a green line crossing over the red on those MACDs, and the histogram bars have fallen below the 0 line and headed lower. Gave this one a red mark. And up top, point number three, relative strength index continuing lower. Took out the 50 line. It looks like we're going to go down past that 30 line. Gave this one a red mark. And on the weekly chart, down below, point number one, the stochastics gave us a bullish signal. They had a nice uptrend. Having a little trouble now at that 50 line. We're challenging it and looking like we're getting a little weaker, so we gave this one a yellow mark. Above that, point number two, the MACDs are leveling off, and the histogram bars, they're flattening out toward that 0 line. Gave this one a yellow mark. And up top, point number three, the relative strength index is bouncing off of that 50 line, headed lower. Gave this one a red mark. And so, summing up the commodities, we analyzed the daily chart and the weekly chart. On the daily chart, we found the stochastics, MACDs, and relative strength index were all negative, and we gave them a red mark. Over on the weekly chart, found the stochastics and MACDs were neutral, gave those a yellow mark, but the relative strength index was still looking negative, gave that a red mark. And for a total, we had 4 red marks, 2 yellow marks, and 0 green marks for the commodities. And we take a look now at the 10-year Treasury yield. And on the daily chart of the 10-year Treasury yield down below, point number one, you can see we've been riding that 20 line, and we just got a bearish signal. Gave this one a red mark. And above that, point number two, the MACDs, they look like they may be starting to level off and decline, so we're giving this one a yellow mark as the histogram bars are lifting up a little higher. And above that, point number three, relative strength index has been just trailing along underneath that 50 line. Looks like we're making another challenge there. Gave this one a yellow mark. And over on the weekly chart, down below, point number one, the stochastics, they were bullish, but now they look like they're leveling off and they're flatlining. Gave this one a yellow mark. And above that, point number two, got the MACDs, they're looking bullish. The green line is over the red, but the histogram bars, they're level, so we gave this one a yellow mark. Above that, point number three, the relative strength index, we were challenging that 50 line. We never made it there. Headed lower. Gave this one a red mark. And summing up 10-year Treasury yield. We analyzed the daily chart and the weekly chart. And on the daily chart, the stochastics were negative. We gave them a red mark. MACDs and relative strength index were still neutral, so we gave those a yellow mark. And over on the weekly chart, the stochastics and MACDs, they were neutral. We gave those yellow marks. But the relative strength index was negative. We gave that one a red mark. And for a total, we had 2 red marks, 4 yellow marks, and 0 green marks for the 10-year Treasury yield. And now we take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And on the daily chart of the Dow Jones, got a little damage here down below. Point number one, the stochastics have turned negative and crossed that 50 line. Don't like that, gave it a red mark. Above that, point number 2, the MACDs have confirmed a negative move in the stochastics as we got the MACDs giving us a bearish signal. Green line crossed over the red, and histogram bars are continuing lower. Gave this one a red mark. And up top, point number 3, the relative strength index. We keep trending lower in the trend, and now we're challenging that 50 line, and looks like we headed just a little bit below that. Gave this one a red mark too. And on the weekly chart, down below, point number 1, the stochastics. They've been bullish for a long time, and now they're reaching overbought territory, and they seem to be losing a little bit of steam, so we gave this one a yellow mark. And above that, point number 2, MACDs have been looking strong, but they look like they could be losing a little bit of steam. Histogram bars leveled off here too, so we gave this one a yellow mark. Above that, point number 3, relative strength index have taken out that 50 line, but now we're falling back to it. Gave this one a yellow mark. And summing up the Dow Jones, we analyzed the daily chart and the weekly chart. On the daily chart, we found the stochastics, MACDs, and the relative strength index were all negative, and we gave them a red mark. Over on the weekly chart, we found the stochastics, MACDs, and relative strength index were all neutral. We gave those yellow marks. And for a total, we had 3 red marks, 3 yellow marks, and 0 green marks for the Dow Jones. And so we've been coming up with scores for the US dollar, the commodities, the 10-year Treasury yield, and the Dow Jones, looking for where the strengths are and where the weaknesses lie. We did that by weighing the number of positives against the number of negatives and coming to a conclusion that way. And in this week, the first place winner was US dollar, 3 green marks, 3 yellow marks with 0 red marks. And coming in second place this week, it's the 10-year Treasury yield with 0 green marks, 4 yellow marks, and 2 red marks. And in third place, it's the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Looks like it's headed lower though. We had 0 green marks, 3 yellow marks with 3 red marks. And in last place, it's the commodities. We had 0 green marks, 2 yellow marks, and 4 red marks. And we take a look now at our market gauge. The object here is to be as far in the right column in bullish territory as possible and as far away from the left column in bearish territory. And in this week, we said that the US dollar came in first place, and we've got that between neutral and bullish. And you can see the inverse relationship between the US dollar and the commodities as that's come in last place, the CRB Index, and it's moving lower into bearish territory. 10-year Treasury yield came in second place, and it's also headed lower as money is flowing out of stocks and into bonds. Dow Jones Industrial Average came in third place, and it's been selling off. It's looking lower. We got a short week coming up, too, with Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hope you're going to have a good one and spend some time with your family. Well, tune in again next week. That's all from our show. We'll do it again, but for now, I'm out of here.